All right, guys. So I'm going to explain exactly how I lost $660 today. So this is SPY on the 1 hour time frame on October the 2nd, 2023. Okay. So let's recap what happened today. So, as if you guys were watching my previous videos, you should have known that I was very bearish going into the day today with all the price action and the volume indicators that I was taking a look at. I was bearish going into the day today. So the way we closed off on Friday was perfect for me in my analysis, simply because we had this beautiful lower low, and then we had a higher low, and we topped it off with a nice wick from below, suggesting a lot of weakness in this area. Okay. Now, when we started the day off, this candle here really tripped me out because I was expecting this candle to close red for sure. The first candle of the day, 6:30 a.m., I was definitely expecting it to close red and come down. Now, obviously, we did come down, okay, but we were not coming down as much as I wanted to. I was expecting a much larger move from the beginning. But if you guys were watching the overnight session on ES, we had a big move in the overnight session on ES. And typically, when we have a big move in the overnight session on ES, typically the morning session when the market opens is usually pretty dead. It's pretty sideways. So when we had this candle close green, this kind of changed my analysis on what I believed would happen next. So as you can see, I was expecting a lower low. I was 100% expecting a lower low, and instead we got a lower high. So this suggested a potential trend change, right? So at this point I was in a position, and when this candle closed green, that's when I decided to get out of the position because I did not like how the candle closed. So to my surprise, we went up and made a higher high. But then we made a massive bearish engulfing candle on the 1 hour, and we made a lower low, changing the trend back to bearish on the 1 hour time frame. And then we created a high low followed by another lower low. So at this point, I was very bearish and very confident with my trade. But unfortunately, I was not holding it as I hit my stop loss previously, so I was not out of the trade, and I was not able to capitalize on that move, unfortunately. So let me show you guys exactly where I entered on the 15-minute time frame. So on the 50-minute time frame, let's see, where was the start of the day? So the start of the day was right here. This candle right here was the first candle of the day on the 15-minute time frame. So I'll tell you where I entered. At the very beginning, I was a little bit tripped out because we were having these massive wicks all over the place, right? So the first candle at 6:30 was green, and we filled that gap. Okay, we filled that gap right there. So I was happy to see that get filled. And as soon as this gap was filled, I was expecting to move lower. So we got this candle right here, this red candle. Now, this candle is not a bearish engulfing, but it does have a pretty large wick from below, and it has a fairly decent body. And as you guys know, the trend on the 1 hour time frame at this point is bearish. So I took it upon myself, and as soon as this candle closed, I got into puts. I got into puts right when the candle closed at 7 a.m. I got into puts, and the candle right away went all the way up, creating this massive wick. So my stop loss was at the high of the previous candle on the 50-minute time frame. So my stop loss was 427.55. That was my stop loss. Okay, and I entered at 426.69. That's basically where I entered. Now I was expecting a large move to the downside, and we did get that move, but not till later in the day. And unfortunately, at that point, I wasn't holding my position anymore. So I was not able to capitalize on that move. So unfortunately, I missed out, but it is what it is. It's part of trading. So we had this nice move to the downside later on, but during this time, and I was unaware of this, and this was a huge mistake on my part, is I was not aware that Jerome Powell was going to be speaking today at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And this is what I personally believe kind of screwed up my analysis, because we had a lot of choppy price action, and then as soon as Jerome Powell started speaking, we finally started to get some direction. So it feels almost as though the market was waiting for Jerome Powell to start talking before it decided to make a move. And once he started talking, then it made a move. So right at 8 a.m. here, we had a bullish engulfing candle followed by another one. And then we made a higher high in the 15-minute time frame, and then followed that up with a bearish engulfing. Now technically, you could have entered in right here for a nice trade right at 8:45, and you could have rode that down all the way to the daily. Okay. Now, unfortunately, at this point in time, right, especially with what had just happened and how I hit my stop loss, unfortunately, if you go to the 1 hour time frame, the 1 hour time frame did not look good in my opinion, because we made a lower high followed by a higher high. And to me, it was not looking good on the 1 hour time frame. To me, it was looking bullish. And for that reason, I did not enter those puts on the 15-minute time frame right here at 8:30 a.m. I did not like how it looked. I was not happy with it. It looked bullish to me on the 1 hour time frame, and I was not going to counter trend trade regardless of whether or not I saw bearish engulfing or not. So to my surprise, we actually did come down. We made that lower low, and we did make a move to the downside like I was expecting to make today. Unfortunately, I was not holding it. So basically, for the rest of the day, I sat out of my trades. Actually, right here, I decided to make another trade. So basically, once we made this higher low right here on the 1 hour, as you can see, we made another lower low. And once we finished creating that, I used this candle to get into a trade. And this was an extremely small trade. I did not make much money. I think I made like 5% return. I got into this trade right here. Okay, so once this candle was formed on the bearish engulfing, I got in immediately after that right here. And I got in at the pullback. So I waited for the candle to pull back, and I got in at 425.24. And my target was this daily level right here at 424.43. So we started to come down, and then we failed to hit the daily. And as soon as we pulled back to this level right here at 424.76, I pulled out my trade and I took my profits. And it was like only 5%, so it was like very minimal. So I wasn't happy with that trade, but it was still a positive trade, so that was good. And then we kind of pumped into the end of the day. So today the price action was very challenging to read today. It was difficult to understand what the market was doing. But if you look at the market from a whole, it does look to me as though we are creating a bottom. Because as you can see, we have been coming down for quite some time now, and it looks as though we are creating potentially what I believe to be a bottom. And this could be the start of a reversal to the upside. So we have to wait and see what happens. And potentially we could get a move to the upside, but we'll have to be patient with that. So all in all, I made 2 trades today. One was a win, one was a loss, but my loss far exceeded the profits of my win. So for today, I am negative on the day, but I am still expecting a move a little bit lower, not much, but I am expecting a move lower. And the reason for that is because ES does still look bearish to me, especially right now in the overnight session. I'm going to be watching it. I'm going to be watching it in the evening session as well. And I'm going to pay attention to see what happens on ES. And depending on what I see, will determine whether or not I continue to be bearish or bullish. So as of right now, the market looks like it is in a very sideways area, and it doesn't really know like it looks where it wants to go. But if you had to ask me, I think the medium term is definitely bullish, but I do still think that the short term is bearish. So we'll have to wait and see what happens tomorrow, and I'll keep you guys updated on what happens at the end of the day tomorrow once the market closes, and I'll be making a video to kind of explain, obviously, where I entered, where I exited, if I traded at all, and how much money I made or how much money I lost. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. Today was a negative day, but nonetheless, that's part of trading. And hope you found this useful. But anyways, have yourself a wonderful day and take care.